Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey into something really quite profound. We're looking at insights from the celebrated work Khutbaat by Maulana Syed Abul Maududi.
Yes, and these aren't just, abstract ideas. They're sermons, actual sermons, originally given to simple villagers, which is interesting, but they have this universal appeal.
Right. The sources really highlight Maududi's rare ability, they call it, to present Islam in a heartfelt, rational, and comprehensive manner.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how he distills these, complex Islamic principles into a language that's incredibly accessible, but without losing any of the depth. That's the key.
So what's our mission today, specifically?
Our mission really is to understand his insights on the core pillars, especially Iman, faith, and crucially, how Maududi insists these beliefs must translate into, a lived reality, not just a label you wear.
A lived reality.
Exactly. It makes you ask, what truly defines a Muslim, and how does that understanding fundamentally shape our lives?
Because you might think being a Muslim is simple, right? Maybe it's about your family, your background. But Maududi challenges that straight away. He pushes us to ask, is it just about birth? Or is there something, much deeper needed? That definitely challenges assumptions. And building on that, the Quran itself, in Surah Maida, calls Islam Allah's greatest favor. So Maududi then asks, how do we show proper gratitude for something so immense?
Right. And his answer is that gratitude isn't just saying thank you. It's not just words. It's about becoming a complete follower of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He even says the worst form of ingratitude is to ignore the favor of your creator.
Wow. So ignoring the guidance is ingratitude.
That's the implication. True appreciation means living by the guidance you've been given.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Maududi tackles this big misconception head on, doesn't he? Is Islam just about birth, your lineage?
Mm-hmm.
Like if your parents are Muslim or you belong to a certain group, does that automatically make you Muslim?
Yes, he compares it to being born a Brahmin, traditionally.
Yeah.
And his answer is a clear no. Maududi is very firm. Islam is not inherited. You become Muslim by acceptance. It's a conscious choice.
Acceptance.
And the flip side is also true. If someone abandons Islam, they are no longer considered Muslim, regardless of their heritage. Doesn't matter if they're a Syed, claiming lineage to the Prophet or a Pathan or whoever.
Or even if they were born, say, a Brahmin or an Englishman, they can become Muslim.
Absolutely. By sincerely accepting Islam, heritage is irrelevant to the actual state of being Muslim.
So if it's not inherited, what does accepting Islam really mean then? Is it just saying the words, I am a Muslim? Or maybe like reciting Arabic phrases you don't fully grasp?
Like the example given of a priest reciting mantras without comprehension. No, the source is very clear on this. True acceptance means you have to know, understand, and believe in the teachings brought by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
No, understand, believe.
And then crucially, act upon them. It's a whole package.
Which puts a huge emphasis on knowledge, doesn't it?
Absolutely vital. Knowledge is key. Which of course raises the question, what about ignorance? What does this view imply about being ignorant of your faith?
Well, this leads to a real, striking claim in the sources. Ignorance and Islam cannot coexist. Maududi argues the real difference between a Muslim and a disbeliever isn't names Ram Prasad versus Abdullah, he says, or clothes duty versus pajama. The fundamental difference is knowledge.
Knowledge of what specifically?
Knowledge of your relationship with the Creator and the right way to live according to his guidance. He poses the question, if a child born to Muslims lacks this knowledge, how are they really different from someone who disbelieves?
That's a challenging thought. He talks about the danger of ignorance, right? Yeah. Likening it to walking a narrow path in pitch darkness. You're easily misled, you can stumble.
Exactly. And knowledge, in this analogy, is the light.
The light that shows you the way prevents you from, drifting off or being fooled by false guides.
So why should you, the listener, care so deeply about getting this knowledge? Well, the sources state it pretty starkly. It's what determines whether you and your children remain Muslim. It's not just academic.
It sounds fundamental, but maybe intimidating. Does it mean everyone needs to become a scholar? No, and Maududi addresses that. He says it doesn't require becoming some great alim. He suggests something quite practical, dedicating maybe just 1 hour a day.
1 hour?
Yeah, to learn the basics, understand the Quran's purpose, the Prophet's mission, Allah's prescribed way of life. It's about consistent effort.
That makes it feel much more achievable. Okay, so if superficial things like names or clothes don't matter, what is the real fundamental difference between a Muslim and a disbeliever? The one that has eternal consequences, paradise or hell?
The core distinction Maududi draws is this. Islam means submission to Allah. Disbelief means disobedience to him. Simple as that, fundamentally.
Submission versus disobedience.
Right. And he breaks it down into two key factors. First, knowledge. Knowing your master, knowing his commands. Second, action. Actually submitting your entire self to his will. Abandoning your own desires if they conflict with his commands.
Even if it means losing something in this world.
Even with worldly loss, yes. That's the test of true submission. It's a complete life orientation.
That's a very high bar. So what does this mean for someone who, calls themselves Muslim but maybe doesn't live up to that? Someone perhaps ignorant of the teachings or disobedient in practice? Can they still claim superiority just because of the label?
Maududi says absolutely not. And he uses powerful examples from the Quran. Think of Prophet Abraham, born to idol worshippers, right? But he became a leader for all humanity. Why?
Because of his obedience to Allah.
Exactly. Total obedience. Now contrast that with Prophet Nuh's son, Noah's son, born to a prophet, literally in the household of prophethood, but he was destroyed.
Because of his disbelief and disobedience?
Precisely. So the lesson is clear. Allah's honor, his favor, it's based on righteousness, on taqwa, on obedience, not your family tree. It echoes that verse in Surah Al-Hujurat. Indeed, the most honored among you in the sight of Allah is the one who is most righteous.
This brings us to a really tough, almost painful question that Maududi raises. He looks at the state of Muslims in his time. He mentions the 90 million in India specifically. And he asks, if Allah's mercy is supposed to be with Muslims, why are they so often humiliated, ruled by others, struggling with ignorance, poverty, debt?
Yeah.
Is this mercy? Or, he asks, is it anger?
It's a confronting question, and Maududi's answer is equally blunt. He says, the fault lies in our claim of being Muslims. Our claim doesn't match the reality.
Ouch.
Yeah. He states that Allah doesn't judge by ID cards or family names. He has his own register, his own criteria,
Right.
and this widespread humiliation. He argues it's a direct result of Muslims themselves abandoning the Quran and the Prophet's teachings.
Abandoning them how?
By engaging in things they know are forbidden. He lists lying, bribery, taking interest, backbiting, various forms of immorality. Things done despite claiming to be Muslim. It's a call for serious self-reflection.
Which leads us naturally to the foundation Maududi wants to rebuild, the Kalima Tayyiba, the pure word. There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. What does this statement truly mean, according to him, beyond just reciting it?
He describes the kalima not just as words, but as the ultimate reality, the fundamental truth of existence. The entire universe, he says, testifies to this truth.
The whole universe.
Yes, and when you truly believe in it, understand it deeply, and shape your whole life by it, then you get the support of all the powers of the earth and the sky. It's profound.
Support. Like what?
Like a tree. He uses this powerful image. A tree with roots struck deep and firm and branches reaching for the sky. It's constantly thriving, bearing good fruit, prospering in a real, meaningful way.
That's a beautiful metaphor for a life built on that foundation.
Yeah.
So what about the opposite? The kalima kabitha, the evil word, representing atheism or polytheism,
Yeah.
basically denying that core truth. What kind of tree is that?
That one is described as false and baseless. All of creation, again, testifies against it and its results. Thorny branches, bitter and toxic fruits. It leads to destruction and corruption.
What kind of toxic fruits does he point to?
He gives some pretty stark examples from the world he observed. Humans tearing each other apart, nations destroying civilizations, moral decay, rising suicide rates, family breakdown, he mentions divorce, nudist clubs, economic exploitation like usury. It's a grim picture.
So a path leading to ruin, essentially.
Yes, and he quotes the Quran, Surah Ibrahim. Allah strengthens those who believe with the firm word, and Allah lets the wrongdoers go astray. Their efforts are ultimately wasted.
Okay, but here's a thought many might have, and I think you mentioned this possibility. People might look around and say, hang on. Those who don't follow this pure word, who follow the evil word, they seem to be doing pretty well. Look at their wealth, their technology, their lifestyles.
Yes, Maududi anticipates that objection directly. He says their prosperity is only apparent, it's superficial, not real.
Fair and how?
He challenges us. Ask their hearts how many have true inner peace. He claims their homes are often like hells, despite the outward show.
And he points to evidence for this claim.
He does. He points to the social problems rife in societies he saw as following the Kalima Kabitha. High suicide rates in Europe and America, divorce epidemics, declining populations in some places, what he calls moral diseases, class warfare.
So inner turmoil despite outer wealth.
Exactly. His underlying point is unshakable for him. The word of Allah can never be false. True well-being, real prosperity, can only come from aligning with the ultimate truth, the kalima tayyiba.
Okay, that makes sense within his framework. So let's connect this back. Every action has a purpose, right? We drink water for thirst, eat for strength. What then is the purpose of reciting the kalima, of accepting Islam in this deep way?
Well, the immediate answer, he says, is yes. It differentiates a believer from a disbeliever. That's the line. But the real purpose, the ultimate purpose, is about the outcome, the hereafter.
The outcome.
Yes. The disbeliever, lacking that true connection and obedience, will be deprived of Allah's mercy. They will fail in the ultimate sense. The believer, who lived by the kalima, will attain Allah's pleasure and succeed. Win paradise. It's about your eternal destiny.
That reminds me of the famous hadith, the saying of the Prophet. This world is the field for the hereafter. How does Maududi use that idea?
He leans heavily into that analogy. This world is your farm, your deeds are the seeds you plant.
What you sow, you reap.
Exactly. So good seeds, good intentions, good actions align with the kalima, tend them carefully. And in the hereafter, you'll reap a lush, fruitful garden. That's Jannah, paradise.
And the alternative.
But if you sow thorns, poisonous seeds meaning evil deeds, actions that contradict the kalima well, that's what you'll harvest. And the crucial point is, there's no second chance. No going back to replant once harvest time comes in the hereafter.
So the kalima isn't just a passport, is it? It's more like the farmer's manual and the seed itself. It's about fundamentally changing how we work the field of this life to get a good harvest later.
Precisely. It's about practical transformation now for success then. The kalima gives you the essential knowledge for this farming.
What knowledge specifically?
2 core things, he emphasizes. 1, you are a servant of Allah and no one else. Full stop. This means all your actions, your entire cultivation process, must align with His will, not your own whims or anyone else's.
Okay, servant of Allah alone. What's the second?
2, Muhammad, peace be upon him, is Allah's messenger. This means His way, His sunnah, is the divinely approved method for cultivating that beautiful harvest. He showed us how to farm successfully.
So know who the master is and know the right method.
Yes, and this knowledge must drive action. Maududi argues very strongly here. If you truly deeply believe you will die, and that there's another life and accounting, then it becomes almost impossible, he suggests, to deliberately live contrary to the Prophet's guidance. The certainty should compel obedience.
He uses another practical analogy for this, doesn't he? About farming for food.
Yes, it's very down to earth. You work hard farming because you know if you don't grow food, you'll starve. It's a certainty.
You feel the hunger, you know the consequence.
Right. He says, if you had that same level of certainty about the hereafter, about spiritual starvation and its consequences as you do about physical hunger, you'd never neglect your faith. You wouldn't be careless in your spiritual farming.
Nobody knowingly plants thorns intending to eat them later.
Exactly. Only someone who is ignorant, completely unaware of the result would do that. Like a child, he says, putting its hand in fire because it doesn't understand the consequence of burning.
That really puts the responsibility back on the individual's understanding and certainty.
It does. Which leads to the vital question for you, the listener, to reflect on. Does your life actually reflect your belief in the kalima? Do your beliefs, yes, but also your fears, your hopes, your loyalties, your day-to-day actions, do they truly align with La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah?
And Maududi emphasizes that the kalima itself is like a seed, right? A powerful seed, a pure, powerful, and life-giving seed, the sources say. But if it doesn't grow, you can't blame the seed. Not if you plant it in barren, unprepared ground or let weeds, bad habits, wrong beliefs, neglect choke it. The cultivation is your responsibility. So it's not magic words, it's a potential that needs nurturing.
Absolutely. If we tie it all together, the kalima, as Maududi explains it, is so much more than just a phrase. It's the complete foundation for a life of, well, correct knowledge, right action, clear purpose, and hopefully eternal success.
It gives light to your path.
Guiding you towards Jannah, towards paradise. That's the ultimate goal.
So, as we wrap up, what does this all mean for your journey, for you listening right now?
Yeah.
The sources really urge us. Let's not reduce this incredible statement, the kalima tayyiba, to just a ritual we perform or a slogan we chant. It's meant to be a revolution in the soul, a pledge of allegiance that changes everything, a complete way of life.
The transformation.
Exactly. So the question to perhaps mull over is this. In what practical, active ways could you transform your faith? Move it from being just a claim or an inherited label into that lush, thriving garden whose fruits will sustain you, not just now, but in the hereafter forever.